So, we're going to start with a proverb. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. So, that to me means that if you lie to people, you want to create hate. You want to divorce them from the truth. So you're lying to them because you want to deprive them of real information. And a flattering tongue works ruin. If you flatter someone purposely to get them to do something that is not good for them, or if you're mocking them and something that they shouldn't continue to do, you are encouraging them to do, then that to me is what the flattering tongue working ruin means. With that said, we are going to get into some high points on several different podcasts. We're going to see Andrew Jones on the BPD podcast. We're going to see Andrew Tate talking with Alex Jones. We're going to see Tucker Carlson on the Adam Carolla show. Eric Weinstein. Um, I'm not sure. I forget what podcast he's on. We're going to listen to some Vivek Ramaswamy with Tucker. And we got a whole bunch of things lined up. These are all very long podcasts, 2, 3, and 4 hour podcasts. I would love to react to the whole thing, but the length of the video, if I did that, would be pretty unwieldy. So we're just going to hit some of the most replayed sections of these, and if there's something, if one of them you guys really would like to hear more of, or if there's a certain topic that you want to dig into further, please just leave it in the comments, and we'll circle back. We'll circle back and we'll hammer one of these if there is interest in that. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up and let's get into it.
My 6-year-old around the pool and hang out with my other 3 children that are basically grown, 21, 18, and 15. So to me, especially under this attack, more than ever, it's all about family. That's my refuge. That's what it's all about. And they literally have multinational groups and intelligence agencies scouring, going, we've got to get somebody to and look, they'll probably find a woman I don't even know, like with this Trump lady. He was found guilty by a jury, not of raping a woman. They said, no, we didn't find he raped her, but he defamed her by saying he's innocent. Think about that. Trump said he was innocent, $5 million.
So we see this over and over. Russell Brand just had the same thing thrown at him. Now, I'm not saying that, some people don't actually commit crimes that they should be punished for, but it is very confusing when charges come up, let's say, right before an election or during a period where someone is talking about things that are being censored on other platforms, but they're getting away with talking about it because they have such a large following. There comes a breaking point where it seems like people come for them. Once they get big enough, high enough visibility, enough eyeballs on them, it seems like things come their way. So it's interesting that he's bringing this up because I was just thinking earlier today about the idea that as men, women deserve clear consent, and I fully support that. I think it's hugely important if you're going to have interactions like that with another person that it is fully consensual. So for a woman, consent on the day is important. For a man as well, but even more important than consent on the day for the man, because generally we're not going to be overpowered, so that we're not in the danger necessarily on the day of, but the danger comes for us years or even decades later. It seems like consent is revoked or changes are made in the way that someone views someone. Oh, they're an extreme right-wing Republican, man, I wish I'd never slept with them, or something like that. The timing is just very weird. How years later, these charges come forward, and it seems to be politically motivated or possibly motivated by money. Andrew Tate claims that there were offers made to pay witnesses who would testify against him, and then, Alex Jones is speculating that they're going to try to levy some sort of gross sexual charges against him to turn everyone against him, because no one is going to support a rapist or a molester or anything like that. Sexual deviancy in this world is, only condoned when it's being done by a man in a dress in a classroom. That's fine. But things that happened, 20 years ago between two consenting adults are suddenly called into question and people's lives are ruined over it. So I can't see how the same people are saying believe all women are then also saying, oh, but let's let drag queens in front of kids. It's pretty disingenuous because if they were sincere about wanting the freedom to express their adult sexuality in adult spaces, then you wouldn't immediately find it, as you already do, in children's shows, children's books, in the classrooms, whether it's in the form of symbology, which is hugely powerful. So you're flying flags that are going to prompt the children to ask questions, just like I remember asking questions about state flags and nation flags. So you're putting material in the classroom that is prompting these discussions. You are bringing this pervasive adult sexuality into the spaces of children, and so that tells me that your movement is not being genuine when you communicate to people that this is about adult freedom. If it was about adult freedom, then it would be in adult spaces, and adult spaces only, where sexuality belongs, because innocence and childhood should not be polluted by the complexities and manipulations and trauma that occurs as part of being in the pool of sexually active adults, whether you're being emotionally manipulated or whether you're being physically assaulted by people that don't respect the word no. Children should not be around these people who are largely driven by sex. I mean, the whole culture is dominated by sex. All we talk about is sexual orientation and gender and race on top of that. But I mean, that's not something that's inappropriate for school, because there's no interaction that comes from race. But there is interaction that follows sexuality and people of different genders with different parts that fit together. I don't know. This might be too adult for the adult YouTube section. So maybe this conversation should be had in the middle of a classroom, the same classroom where they're reading stories about transgender little boys and girls that are undergoing surgery and taking hormones at the same time that they're not allowed to consume coffee, alcohol, or nicotine. They're not allowed to get tattoos. They're not allowed to get piercings, but they are allowed to potentially undergo surgeries to remove prepubescent breasts and take hormones that will permanently change their biological, the biological outcome and how they develop. So it seems to be hugely hypocritical, and I do want people to be safe. I want people to be believed, but it just seems like there's such a double standard here, where on one side it's like, make people safe, but on the other side bring sex into the classrooms in front of children. That's not creating a safe environment for children. So if you're not behaving across the board in a manner that's congruent with what you're saying, then I'm going to start to ignore what you're saying and watch what you're doing, because actions speak louder than words.
And I'm sure after a certain point, it's like an Escape from New York.
Yeah, have you seen a clip with her and Anderson Cooper?
Yeah, where she says women really love getting raped.
Yeah. No, she said he never even physically touched me. It was an emotional rape.
Oh, yeah.
No, you seen
this clip?
I have. Well, play it again.
Yeah, this clip never gets old when she says, I really like you, Anderson, and he gets uncomfortable.
He looks like he wants to stop the
well, he's not attracted.
Yeah.
Plus, she's not even a woman, but he's attracted to men.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think she fully understood that he's gay.
Yeah, exactly.
He's trying to come on to a gated.
She's like, listen, lady who looks like the chick from 40-Year-Old Virgin, if I'm going to make the switch, it ain't going to be for you.
Well, she also looks like the monster from Before It Turns into Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's hilarious.
She goes, are you a god? No? Then die! Don't you love how Congressman Gozer has the same name as the demon god?
Gozer. That's hilarious.
Gozer the Eliminator. Gozer the Traveler. Gozer the Destroyer. Look, Gozer's on CNN.
Play the clip. Play the clip.
I feel like a victim.
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt. It just,
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
What?
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
What?
We're just going to take a quick break. We'll talk more on the other side.
This.
You're fascinating to talk to.
I don't know if I've seen many clips on
And like, look,
over and over again than this.
And he's revolted. He literally goes like, ooh.
Oh, you're fascinating.
You're not his type, honey. But listen, I found tapes of this lady. I mean, one night I literally spent like 3 hours finding clips, and I didn't send them to the crew, but I never played them on air. She literally hopping around in the woods, like, I mean, she is a fruit ball, man. I mean, in the encyclopedia it should say, fruitcake, wingbat, and there's a picture of her.
In fact, guys, before we go to the Roger
sure.
thing, so Alex Jones. So let's say you have a crystal ball, Alex, before you started this crusade and who you are right now to this day, and you could see everything that they've done and where you're at right now. Do you change anything? Do you do anything different not to get to? Because you saw what they're doing to you.
Hindsight's 20/20, and I see how God works, how the universe works, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Yeah, I would have done a lot of things different. I didn't realize how influential I was even 15 years ago. And I would just be doing 5-6 hours a day some days and just having fun. Sometimes I do nighttime shows, have a few martinis, and say stuff tongue in cheek, and then that let them spin it and do things and then take it out of context. But that probably added to the success at the end of the day. So it's all in God's hands. I've never tried to lie. I've never tried to hurt innocent people. But I have had a big footprint, and I have stepped on people, and I'm sorry for that. But the past is the past, and I don't even really look back at the past. I study the past to understand the future, but I'm just trying to improve myself now and just trying to get as humble as possible and just really praying that we don't have a nuclear war and that we can just have a future. Used to I wanted to be number one, and I would get a little jealous of other people that were really successful. But the best thing in my life has been really realizing it's the human continuum and that we're all basically on the same journey together, and other people's success against tyranny is my success. So I'm the happiest I've ever been. And all the persecution has been wonderful. It's really taught me a lot, and it's helped me be a better person. So I want to thank my enemies for everything they've done to me, and I want to encourage them not to be destroyed by their master that will destroy them. And I want to have a future with them on a planet we can all live on. And so I want to tell my enemies, I love you and I care about you, and Jesus loves you, and you just need to ask Jesus to come into your heart, and God will set you on the right path and forgive you. And that's really the answer. And I would just really encourage them to find God. Amen. Because let me tell you, God and the devil are real. You better get that straight.
Yep.
Where did this come from? How long did it take this epiphany phase?
If you believe in evil, right, then God has to exist. If you believe the devil exists, then God has to exist. The devil proves the existence of God. And I think no matter who you are, you've seen the devil in something or someone. What he just said is absolutely one of the most wise summaries of his career, because the truth is that the only way out of this for anyone on either side is through love and tolerance. And right now it's just personal insults. When you run out of facts to throw at the other person and you're not getting anywhere, a lot of people are just resorting to name calling and kindergarten level pettiness. If you care about the country, if you care about the future of America and American children and your own future, if you are, looking ahead and excited about the future, I would think that you would want to make it as good as possible and not hold grudges and not bear weapons and false testimony against your brothers and sisters. Treat people how you want to be treated. It's very, very simple in my opinion. Very simple. And you've had this huge consolidation of media down to just a few little things, and it's like things like kicking Tucker Carlson out of the fold and having him go start his own network, and then people like Russell Brand and Joe Rogan and any number of Patrick Bet-David and there's all these different shows that are starting to put real diversity of opinion and thought out there in the form of long-form content where you can listen to hopefully people of broad and diverse backgrounds with different unique thoughts, where they come on and present their opinions and talk about things that matter to them. Because what we were before we got into this content is really just listening to robots repeat the same crap over and over. All the media just throwing the same news. What did the AP put out today? Let's just regurgitate whatever articles are trending. What are the top Google searches? Let's write some articles about that. It's turned into just complete trash as opposed to reporting with integrity. And then you've got smaller shows that are popping up. People just starting their own podcast because they want to highlight content. They want to talk. They want to address some of the BS that is being put out and the lies that are being put out. So instead of coming up with all new programming, it's just taking the lies and the propaganda and presenting it and showing the criticisms of it and letting you decide. So this is why diversity of opinion is important, is because it shows both sides of the coin instead of just, here you go, here's our unified front, and anyone who disagrees with this side of the coin, let's get together and let's smash them into the ground. Let's get rid of their job, let's get rid of their family, let's punish everyone that they love and care about. This is why Batman wore a mask, because if you're trying to do good things and stop evil people, you're going to get blowback. You're going to get pushback. You're going to get all kinds of shit that you got to wade through. But if you really believe in it, and it's not just a job, you're not just punching in, you actually care, and you're invested in the message and the ideas, you've spent a lot of time thinking about this, then it's worth all the sacrifice and all the bullshit and all the trauma and the attacks and the criticism. It's worth it all. And you'd go back and do most of it over again, except for the clear mistakes that you made. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm probably about to make a mistake in the next hour or two. You know what I mean? Like it's just part of being a human being, is being fallible and making mistakes. And the adults and the people that want to be better are willing to admit that and not try to portray this air of imperviousness, like you know everything. Nobody knows everything. Most people know a lot closer to nothing than everything.
Any problem on earth, whether it's pedophilia, whether it's school shooting, whether it's men's mental health, whether it's women's mental health, whether it's female promiscuity, no matter what it is, whether it's crime, no matter what it is, how do you fix the problem? By building men of caliber, by building men of capability and status and honor and dignity, and by building men of ability to be good standing citizens who are respected by their peers. All of it comes back to improving men. All of it. Every single problem you can possibly name, even pedophilia, comes back to building strong men of capability who are respected. That's all. It's the baseline of humanity. Men always has been the baseline of humanity. And that's why nearly every problem we can name, whether it's pedophilia, whether it's anything else, school shooting, whatever, all of them are in a direct negative correlation with masculinity. As masculinity plummets, all this garbage is going up through the roof. Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not, really not. It's you can literally see it.
Real men say no, and they're not afraid. What are you going to do? I'm not going to allow you to harm children. I'm not going to allow you to debase society. I'm not going to allow you to steal that old woman's pocketbook. I'm not going to allow you to make the moral fabric of society around me and my children fall into decay and disrepair. And as soon as men lose the testosterone and the confidence and the masculinity, and they become emasculated and forlorn and hopeless and depressed, then any manner of bullshit rises without any sort of good collection of people who are pushing back against it. And I mean, this is, some people can say this is sexist, but women are more agreeable and more tolerant than men. So if you just have a society of tolerance, you better buckle the fuck up, because anything can happen. You can get robbed because nobody's going to say no. Give me all your money. Oh, okay, it's no big deal. Whatever, we'll be fine. Here you go. And that's the gateway drug. Now they're in your house. Now they're in the schools. Now they're in the malls, stealing everything with wild and reckless abandon because there are no consequences and there is no one saying no, standing up, and providing consequences for bad behavior.
With a graph, and you can see it happening, saving the way men think and operate, growing a new generation of men who understand they have duty to themselves, their last name, and God, literally saves the world. All of it. And I'm telling you, the reason this Hollywood garbage happens is because outside of Hollywood, none of them people are mildly impressive in any regard. And that's why they have to do the disgusting, heinous things they do. And that's why they're going to attack me and pretend I'm a fucking predator, and that I'm the bad guy, and that I'm dangerous to women. When truly, people like Philip Schofield are the ones who are doing it, but they're part of the club. And that's what actually upsets me, truthfully. I'm a difficult man to affect. And I understand that I'm in the middle of a war here, and I understand that one way or another, with God on my side, I will win. But it is extremely frustrating to have people who commit X crime with impunity accuse you of X crime. That's a very uniquely annoying scenario. When somebody who does something themselves accuses you of it when you're innocent.
Not allegedly. They've been
caught. And they accuse you of it.
Big difference.
And then they sit there and go, it's a terrible thing to do. You do it. All of these liberals and elites attacking me do it. And I don't. And I'm the one who's sitting in a fucking dungeon for it? It's insane.
What should be the punishment for that?
I think attacking innocents is the most heinous thing you can possibly do.
Did you hear what DeSantis announced?
No.
Death penalty for that.
Well, I think absolutely. They're innocent. Attacking innocents is the biggest act of cowardice. It's cowardice. Attacking innocents is the biggest possible act of cowardice. Even, you don't shoot an unarmed man. Even in war, there's the Geneva Convention. There's supposed to be a degree of rule. Someone can't defend themselves. There's no need to hurt them. These people can't defend themselves. Attacking innocents is the most heinous of all crimes. And children are the absolutely most innocent thing on the planet. And I'd like to think that I'm rational enough that not much would drive me to murder, but I know what would happen if someone hurt my children.
Should they be castrated?
I think they should face an extremely heinous punishment. Now, the death penalty is fantastic. I also think, from what I've just been through, and it was only 3 short months, I think a nice long life of solitary confinement will do just fine. I really, truly believe it. And I truly believe that we need to make that clear to the world. But the problem is, the world we're living in and the people who are in charge of the world have no obligation or no intention of stopping what's happening. They want to accelerate what's happening. That's what's scary. Because they could put punishments in place which genuinely stop this shit. And I don't think they are. In fact, they're promoting this shit and trying to say that you're born that way. Because when you're born that way, once again, you have no control. It's not your fault. It's not your fault you touched that kid, you were born that way. Not your fault you're fat, you were born that way. Not your fault you're a school shooter, you were born that way. This is why I have a problem with psychologists. Every single time you ask them anything, it's not your fault. It's something else's fault or someone else's fault, and I don't accept that. I accept absolute and utter ruthless personal accountability. Absolutely everything is my fault. Every action I undertake is completely my fault. If I do something wrong, it is my fault and I should be punished for it, me. And that should be implied on every single other man on the planet. And the second we start doing that, dumb shit might stop.
It's a powerful message. We're at the end of it, so if you got anything.
Well, this is going to be more of a lighthearted question to end on a lighter note. But
You're going to ask about who's a better actor, Al Pacino or Robert De Niro? Actually, a real question.
That's your question.
So I got a question. Do you like both actors, Pacino or De Niro?
De Niro hates Trump, right?
Yeah.
They both do.
They both do. They both do. Oh, they both do?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
So now you got to go on their merit.
Uh-oh. I don't know then. They're both on the wrong team.
Scarface or Goodfellas?
Yeah.
So this is actually a funny question, lighthearted question, but it is about your legacy.
Sure.
I don't know if there's anybody in the world, when I say a country, oh, I'm going to this country, they say, well, you must be going to see Tate.
Yeah.
If I told my mom, we're not supposed to talk about this, hey, Mom, I'm going to Romania. Are you going to see Andrew Tate? Yeah. If I told that, hey, anybody, I'm going to Romania, they're going to say, oh, you're going to go see Tate. Yeah. That's how synonymous you are with Romania. Yeah. The irony is that Romania is the country that's locked you up. There's one other person that's associated with the country. If I say the country, you know the name, they're not even a real person. And that person is from the country of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Borat.
Borat.
Yeah.
I say Kazakhstan, you think of Borat.
Yeah.
Ironically, in a twist of fate, in 2006 when the movie Borat came out, they actually banned the movie.
Yeah.
They didn't want the people of Kazakhstan to see the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was
insulting.
A great insult for the people of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Ironically, in 2020, after COVID, it became a global brand, Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
The tourism board basically created ads and embraced the moniker Kazakhstan, very nice, as a way to drive tourism.
Wow.
to Kazakhstan. So in a twist of fate, they banned the movie. 15 years later, they're embracing Borat. So my question to you is, when you're innocent and you're scot-free, what will Romania do to make amends for what's happened to you? Will it be Romania? What color is your Bugatti? What are they gonna say?
It also, that flip-flop just goes to show that governments will repurpose media that at one time was not something that they wanted to look at. But now that they have a use for it and it's popular, suddenly, oh, we can use this. We can use this for our purposes. They're not on some sort of principled high horse. They're just using whatever works best for them at the time and trying to get rid of things that would undermine the truth that they're trying to sell you. They're trying to package up this little box of truth. Here you go. Here's your government box of truth. And that is completely subjective to the whims of the people running the government, what they want the truth to be. Because as we all know, everybody has a different truth. Even in groups of people, you have different truths. You have groups that believe in this God and groups that believe in this God, and never shall the two meet. And we're supposed to respect both of them. This is how the world used to work. You used to be able to believe different things and be respected and left alone. Now, having unique thoughts and not being part of the hive mind and the groupthink, having wrong thought, having wrong speech, is approaching a punishable crime. At the very least, it's punishable at a societal level by the mob coming after you and villainizing you and making sure to take as much as they can from you.
That's a really good question, because I love this country. I chose to live here. I think that they have done themselves a massive disservice, but I don't think it's Romanians as a whole. 99.9% of Romanians I interact with apologize to me. Every Romanian I see says sorry. Even the police officers who come and check my house arrest apologize to me. There's a select few Romanians who have done irreparable damage to this country, and they're going to have to deal with the consequences of that if they have a conscience at all. Most Romanians understand exactly what's happening and have apologized to me and are good people. I think I did a lot for this country in terms of tourism. I don't think it was mentioned much before me.
Yes.
And truthfully, it is a safe place and it is a beautiful place and you can carve a good life here. But I think they've certainly scared away a lot of high net worth individuals from ever moving here, because they will seize all of their things and throw you in a jail cell. So we'll have to see how they try and recover from the mess they've made, and if the few people who have done this, and it's a small group, are ever going to be held responsible. And if the country of Romania is mature enough, they will understand that it's a very small group of people who have made a very big mess.
Last question. What source of power do you get from this?
This is actually a mudra from power, a mudra for power. I think I'm not sure which yoga or Hindu or something it's from. It is a mudra from power, but my father used to sit and play chess like this. This is how he played chess. So I stole it. I stole it when I would be losing chess games in chess tournaments. When I was a kid, I was like, shit, I'm losing. I need power. Shit, let me do like dad. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. But cool. I just adopted it because it was his hand symbol, so I just copied it. And there's a lot of theories online that, it's occultist this and occultist that. I let the conspiracy theories run, but it's far more simple than that. There's lots of pictures of my dad doing it, and I copied it. That's all it is.
Respect.
So again, 5 hours felt like 5 minutes, just like last time. I can't tell you how many people last time said,
glad you came, bro.
People wanted to watch every second of it.
Thank you.
This was great. And we got a couple gifts we want to give you. The audience that's watching.
We'll see how it works out. I don't know the answers, but I know that at least for pushing back against the idea of getting rid of and walking away from personal virtue, individual thought, masculinity, Andrew Tate is definitely an ally for men, and it would be a real shame if the allegations prove to be true. But if they do, obviously it's going to change how everyone views him. So,
manner, I received a strike on YouTube, which prevents you from posting for 7 days.
So this is the very beginning of the episode. He's going to talk about how his social media accounts were taken down.
Received the strike. Meta banned me, which is Instagram and Facebook. They banned me. I filmed a YouTube video to reply to the ban. while I still had my YouTube account because they're pretending they're fair and that it all doesn't happen in sync. They allowed my YouTube account to survive for 4 more days, and then they banned my YouTube account. So the strike was given to me on purpose to make sure that I couldn't post my reply video directly after the first ban, and for them to pretend that there was some kind of degree of separation between the large matrix attacks. I've been banned on basically every single platform, from Airbnb to Uber through to social media platforms, payment processors, absolutely everything. And you're completely right. I teach people and inspire people to think for themselves, and that makes you the enemy of the establishment because you are not allowed to think. You're only allowed to comply.
You know where the CIA tunes in, right? You know where the Russians tune in? You know everybody tunes in, right? You know who Tucker Carlson tunes into, and Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk? You know where they tune in, right? They tune in right here.
InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today. InfoWars, the most banned network in the world.
All you have to do is check out what I'm saying, and that's why they run the fake headline against myself and Tucker Carlson everywhere, every day. Jones admits he's an actor. Or Tucker Carlson says nobody would take me seriously. Where do we say that? We never said that. They just say we said that. But where's the clip? Where's the article? Where do we say that? Doesn't exist.
Alex Jones is playing a character and is a performance artist.
Jones is playing a character on his radio show.
The radio rants of Alex Jones are just an act.
He's actually a performance artist.
He's a performance artist. Alex Jones is a fake.
They're lying to you because they think you're stupid. And it's all based on a custody battle with my ex-wife 5 years ago. And she was trying to put into evidence me dressed up more than a decade before, like the Joker, being sarcastic, saying, take your Prozac, kid.
Well, if everybody lies to you, even if you have complete faith in your own ability to perceive the world, if everybody keeps telling you that you're crazy, or if everyone keeps telling you that Alex Jones is just a character, even if you don't believe it at first, the easiest way to overcome your senses is with mass hypnosis, or whatever you want to call it. What I'm saying is, if enough people tell you that you are incapable of perceiving the world with your own eyes, hearing what other people say with your ears, if hundreds of people come to you and say, that's not what he said, that's not what he said, even though you know and you heard, you start to question yourself. And eventually you lose that belief in yourself, in your ability to perceive the world, not just related to that one singular event or person that they're telling you this is what happened. It starts to undermine your belief in your ability to understand and perceive the world without them explaining it to you, because you start to believe that you are dumb. Just like when you're in school and you're having trouble in math, you start to think, I'm dumb. I just can't get this. I don't know math. And you think that the only thing that you can do is just cheat off someone else who can do math, who is good at math. It's simply mass hypnosis. This doesn't make you better or worse at math. But misunderstanding and not doing well for a while will start to make you believe, even if you are good at math, if you're just having trouble, you haven't been explained properly, you misread a number, you're going too fast, there could be any number of reasons for it, but you just start to assume, I'm bad at math, I don't know what I'm doing. And the same thing can occur with the media telling you, you're an idiot, that's not what is happening, this is what's happening. And if all the news stations are telling you that you're an idiot and you're wrong, this is what's happening, there's a lot of people that are just going to be like, okay, that's what's happening. And there's only some people who are going to say, no, I will never believe your lies. I can see what's happening, and you are never going to pull the wool over my eyes.
Kids, take your illegal drugs too. You'll die. It's fun. So people wouldn't take drugs. And they wanted to enter that in evidence. Say, look, he's insane telling kids to use drugs. And my lawyer went, when Jack Nicholson plays the part of the Joker, no one thinks that's really Jack Nicholson. So yeah, when I've been Cobra Commander, hail Cobra! or Optimus Prime. Autobots, let's roll. Or the Joker, because I can do imitations of them all really good. Or Darth Vader.
Don't act so surprised, globalist. You didn't think you could silence the American people, did you?
Do I really think I'm Darth Vader? No. Do I think I'm Optimus Prime, Cobra Commander, the Joker? No. And clearly, no reasonable person would think when I'm doing satire that what I'm saying is what I really think. No one believes the Babylon Bee. It's not trying to lie to you, it's being sarcastic.
Buy the Vaccinate Me Elmo doll today. It's required by the CDC.
But they play those games. And that's why I don't joke around as much as I used to. Even though I tell people, okay, this is a joke, this isn't serious, they clip it out and they say, no, this is what he really believes. Every day when I leave work, I do this. That man's a threat to this country. And they go, look, he admitted in court he's an actor. Well, yeah, I was an actor in Scanner Darkly. I was an actor in Waking Life. I was an actor when I was Cobra Commander. But it doesn't mean that Alex Jones, the talk show host, up here reading news articles to you isn't a real thing and isn't something I'm actually saying. And you know that. You're insulted right now. I'm even explaining that to you. And so am I. But that's who these people are. You don't know the power of the dark side. Am I really Darth Vader?
I think Alex Jones seems really talented. He's smart. He's funny as hell. He's truly funny.
I'm kind of retarded. Now that I've done those imitations, those little jokes, do you now not listen to what I say about other things when I show you a powerful news article by Dr. Joseph Mercola on Infowars.com that has all the cited information, the latest tragedy, sudden adult death syndrome? No, that's a real thing. That's something happening in the real world. And that's what we're breaking down here today. I am Alex Jones, and I am the guy on this show every day. I am an American. And that's what I promote is freedom and justice and liberty, and they can't stand it.
Truth is the only thing that they will go after.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you can lie all you want.
Get ready, folks. This live Thursday broadcast. And it's time for humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Say whatever you want, but the man knows theatrics. He's the Mayweather of
Thanks for joining us on this live teleprompter-free original pro-human transmission. It's Thursday, September 8th.
Pro-human.
2022. Wow. And
imagine if everyone were
literally 10 minutes ago, before the show started, I ended an hour-long interview with now the most banned man in the world, one of the most censored people on the planet, Andrew Tate. And it was an amazing interview. He's hosted the show. He's been a guest many times. He's come to Austin and visited. I've gone out to dinner with him and his brother. Yeah, he's a really smart guy, and they're misrepresenting who he is because they're scared of male leadership and his message of not being depressed and having a destiny.
Take your Prozac.
So I'm going to air some excerpts tomorrow of the interview on the Friday show. And then Monday.
All right, I'll put this in a link, so if you want to watch it, I suggest it.
So that's the media, and that's what they're doing. Then that trickles down to the.
So this is Adam Carolla, Tucker Carlson on the Adam Carolla show, and he's talking about the media.
People, and then when you talk to most people, they're really just saying what they heard from the media, who they think is unbiased, but is really doing the work of the government. So now we have a triple threat. We have the government doing what they need to do. They have the media with their marching orders. And then there's the good people of the village who really don't know what's going on. They just watch CNN or they watch Rachel Maddow talk to Chuck Schumer, and they go, well, that must be the way it is, and they get sucked into it and almost can't be blamed because they're more naive than they are evil, for sure, the average citizen.
Yeah.
Now,
I agree.
there are
100%.
people like yourself, and there's all these other entities. And
in fact, I think people aren't evil at all. I think that they are just beholden to a master who is lying to them, which is the media. If they had a master who was giving them truth and saying, we want you to be good people, not sheep. We want to give you the information and the tools to be the best person that you can and make the world a better place. Because you know what? You know who benefits from that? Every fucking body. If you live in a house and you contribute to cleaning it up and organizing it, everybody gets to benefit from that space being organized and pleasant. If you come in and you take a shit on the carpet, do you know who loses? Everybody who lives in that space. And in America, we are metaphorically taking a shit in the living room of this country, seems like every day. Just complete disrespect, and then we wonder why we're so depressed and there's so much chaos and so much hate. Well, everybody gets really pissed off when there's shit in the living room. You know? It's really hard to get along with your roommates when someone keeps dropping liquid hot, boiling hot caca on the carpet.
And there's all these other platforms, and they can no longer corral everybody. The sheep are getting over the fence. The gate got knocked open. And now there's a lot of different voices from a lot of different places. And really, for the first time, I'm hearing sort of normal, non-political people asking questions about Biden or the laptop or Russian collusion or what their persecution of Trump and that kind of stuff. And the question is can voices like yourself and these alternative media platforms, can they arrive in time to stop it?
That's unknown. Here's my view of it. I think the lies are unsustainable. Lying is always unsustainable. You're always found out in the end, whether in your lifetime or posthumously. But lies are always revealed by their nature. And these lies are so big and so obvious and so stupid that it's going to be very clear to the majority of voters before the election that the Biden administration has no idea what it's doing, that Joe Biden is not running the government, and that it's not working at all. And I think by that point, we're going to have a real economic contraction. I think we're going to be in the teeth of a very tough recession, and that makes everything much more intense. And so if your goal is to maintain power, and if you think once you relinquish power, the problem with criminalizing politics is the people who do it imagine or know that it will be done to them. So once you start indicting your political opponents, you know that you have to win or else they're going to indict you if they win, right?
Right.
And so they can't lose. They will do anything to win. So how do they do that? They're not going to do COVID again. I know everyone on the right's afraid they're going to do COVID and mask mandate. They're not going to do that. They can't do that. If they've already been exposed, that won't work. There's going to be no. What are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia. Is what they're going to do. There will be a hot war between the United States and Russia in the next year. And
really?
Yes, of course. They want it anyway. I don't think we'll win it, but that's a separate analysis. But I think it's a political matter. They need to declare war footing in order to assume war powers in order to win. I believe that. And I think the evidence suggests that's true. So if you're worried about our politics getting even more vicious than it already is, and people being hurt in our politics, which is entirely possible, you should be worried about the prospect of an open war. We're already at war with Russia, of course. We're funding their enemies. So we're fighting Russia. But I mean, an open battle with Russia where we say we're at war with Russia. I think that could easily happen. I think we could Tonkin Gulf our way into it where all of a sudden missiles land in Poland. The Russians did it. Our NATO allies been attacked. We're going to war. I could see that happening very easily. So if you're worried about that, you need to put as much pressure as you possibly can on the Republican-held Senate to force a peace, which can be done. The United States could force a peace in Ukraine tonight. We're funding one side. There is no Ukrainian army outside of NATO. If NATO withdrew its support for Ukraine, Ukraine would crumble in a day. So we are the only power in the world that can bring both sides to the table to force a peace, which will be unsatisfactory as all forced peaces are. Like each side will give more than it wants, but that's the only option. Otherwise, I would bet my house on it. We are going to war with Russia. And of course, the stakes are everything, our life on the planet. I mean, these are the two biggest nuclear arsenals in the world facing off against each other. So like, this is insane. They're insane. These are people who think men can become women, who believe that face masks save you from COVID. I mean, these are not rational people. Would they go to war with Russia? Of course they would. Again, they want to anyway. And I don't know why Republicans don't get this at all, but they don't seem to get it. And meanwhile, Republican leaders, and Mitch McConnell's senile too, so I don't even blame him, but all the stupid Republican senators and McCarthy in the House, I mean, it's pathetic. These people.
It is difficult to understand why there's so much Russian hatred at the citizen level, right? I mean, do people really believe that Russian citizens are just evil people, just regular people on the street trying to go about their daily life, their daily, routine, trying to feed their family, trying to get promoted, trying to find a woman, trying to do all kinds of things, trying to cope with death in the family, trying to cope with losing their parents, the same things that are happening here. And we're so excited that there's over 500,000 dead people in Ukraine because the political leadership is saying we need to punish Russia, we need to punish Putin, this is punishing Putin. Well, the truth is it's also punishing the West. Winter's coming. Europe now has blown up, or the U.S. blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, so there's probably going to be gas shortages. Probably the prices are going to go meteoric. And then you've got all the internal strife in the country that has come about as a result of the polarization between the people that don't want anything to do with any more war and don't believe that there is a concrete benefit for the U.S. populace to spend tens of billions of dollars, 40, 50 plus billion dollars, sending missiles over there, encouraging these people to kill each other, encouraging Russian deaths and Ukrainian deaths, and hiding behind our money and saying we're winning. No one's winning. People are dying. No one is winning. The front has been stagnant for the past 3-4 months at least. Yes, they pushed Russia out of the north and out of Kiev, but that front on the eastern front is not moving. And the fact that the Western media is not being allowed into the front lines tells me that things probably aren't going very well, because just like anything else, they want to hide the truth when it's inconvenient, when it doesn't fit the narrative, and they want to show the truth or tell lies when the truth isn't congruent. They tell lies when the truth doesn't reflect what they want it to, or they will highlight the front lines if things are going well and the Russians are being pushed back. The media would be all over it. But what they don't want to show is people huddled in trenches, just like the trench warfare in World War I, which basically never ended. If it wasn't for chemical warfare, that would have been a very protracted battle that would have lasted even longer. But mustard gas and other chemical biological weapons were utilized because it was such a stalemate. And so the idea of pushing this conflict to the point where we could get into a real war with Russia, a hot war where U.S. troops go to Ukraine and fight Russians, you're talking about two of the most heavily armed nuclear superpowers in the world, and you've got people on the left that are excited about the idea of destabilizing that country. I mean, you saw the chaos and anarchy in Iraq after Saddam, and they didn't even have any WMDs in that country. We spent 10 years fighting Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, losing territory, gaining territory. The surges, remember the surges? It was just a never-ending conflict because those people fucking hated us. And if you think that the Russians hate us any less, their culture is still masculine. They're not part of this Western. You've got two schools of thought. You've got the Eastern influence, Russia, China, and third world countries, and that's all very traditional culture and values, including the Mideast. That's why they hated us and wanted us gone out of Afghanistan and out of Iraq, because they want nothing to do with our culture, our values, or lack of, and just the unmitigated freedom and debauchery that we choose to take part in this country. They don't want anything to do with it, and that's their right. If you believe in a free country, then you should believe in a free world. And in a free world, if a collection of people wants to do something, even if you consider it to be ignorant and backwards, if that's what they want to do because they don't accept your woke bullshit or your progressive agenda, and they just want to raise their children and have the children respect the elders and have, you know, the grandfathers be revered, and then they want this nuclear family unit, and they want all these things that have traditionally been part of human culture, who the fuck are you? Go live your life and let that person live theirs. Don't get excited about bombing Iraq or blowing up all of Ukraine, and then Hillary Clinton's suggesting we get in there and rebuild the infrastructure already. This is all a cash grab, and the destruction portion of it is just the first little piece of it. Most of the money gets made in rebuilding and installing U.S. infrastructure. We do not colonize governmentally, we colonize financially. We go in and we decimate a country and then help them build their economy. And holy shit, as part of building their economy for them, we get to take a cut. Magical. And then we give them back their government. We say, there you go, see, you're free. Huh? You can choose a leader and do all this stupid little shit. But the reality is we control the important shit. That's the nuts and bolts of the way the economy works. We install our corporations. We fund the reconstruction programs because that gives us input. If we're paying for it, we can make decisions. If we're not paying for shit, we don't get to make any decisions. Anyway, now we're moving on to Eric Weinstein, and he's going to talk about fake news and how to deal with, as Chris Williamson, whose video this is, has titled it. This is the section, How to Defend Against Manipulative Uncertainty. How to deal with people fucking lying to you and hiding the lies in with the truth, so that now everything becomes suspect, everything becomes uncertain, and you destabilize the entire information highway, infrastructure, all of it. And you can't trust anything. And this is where we're at with the government, where basically the whole thing is compromised. It's not about the presidential election. It's about trying to get someone decent in there, and then we as Americans need to start just voting incumbents out of office, because the corruption, you can't tell who's corrupt and who's not. So what's the only way to figure it out? If you've got two bowls of water and one of them has poison in it, you can't tell which is which. What do you drink both of them? No, you dump both those bowls of water. You get rid of all of it. Because you have to. Because you don't know which one's clean, which one's poison. The government is the same thing. There are some good people in there, but there's enough bad, and there's a lack of integrity and truth, so you can't understand who is lying and who is telling the truth and who is behind the scenes, who's bought and paid for, we just need to get rid of it, and we need to start again. We need to be good stewards of these elected positions, and we need to fulfill our duties as Americans and be good electors and elect good, honest people that are going to treat the American public with respect and dignity and listen to our trials and tribulations and try to keep this country functional. Try to do a little maintenance to the car so it doesn't just fall apart and blow up on the side of the road, which is what's happening right now. There's no maintenance, no meaningful maintenance being done to this country in a way that serves the American public, that serves the interests of those making less than $100,000 a year, which is fucking 90-something% of this country. And then you got the 1 or 2 couple percent over here that are just making more money than God. That's where's the middle class there? You know, you're losing the middle class, and it is just going, just like the politics. Politics are going to the extremes, and so is the financial systems, and so is race and gender. There's all these wars, gender war, race war, all this shit. It's all manufactured. We're all human beings. We're all Americans. And in the greater first world, they've got problems there too. So it's not just an American problem. This is the Western world trying to collapse itself, in my opinion, to prove that Marx is right, Karl Marx is right, saying that late-stage capitalism would cannibalize and corrupt itself and consolidate power into such big pools of these massive corporations that once they get big enough, they're just going to keep growing and acquiring. We made $1 billion in cash last month. what are we going to do with it? We can't just have cash sitting around. Cash gets devalued by the built-in 3% inflation rate. Do we invest it in bonds, or do we buy some little company that's got some innovative product and grow our revenue stream, potentially 10x or untold? If we manage that correctly, this product shows promise, let's bring it to market, let's make shitloads of money. And as you continue to buy all these businesses and grow your revenue stream, it becomes a black hole of money, and money is analogous to power. Power is interchangeable for money in most cases. You can buy power with money, and power can get you money. So Marx said that capitalism would not work out on a long scale. Now you've got nations trying to control global multinational corporations, and I believe that they're going to try to justify the idea of a multinational government or a global government in order to get CCP or Chinese Communist Party levels of control over communication and the private sector, so that the government under a socialist or communist umbrella controls the free market. It's not exactly free anymore. It's more of the manipulated China capitalist markets where they let them run for the most part, but if they got to step in and chop down a billionaire or put somebody in their place, they have the power to do that. So that's my suspicion, is that this country is being run into the ground to prove Marxist correct, that capitalism has no future, and we need to reevaluate, come up with a new global government that has less freedoms and less guns for you, and more power and more money for them.
10 years discussing whether it was a false flag, whether it was actually the Japanese, whether there was any attack, whether it was a soundstage, whether it was a psyop, whether it was right now, the main institutions of our society have abdicated their role for public-spirited adjudication of what is true based on expertise. And so what you're seeing
shouldn't be based on expertise. It should be based on multiple sources corroborating other people's stories. So either everyone agrees, 5 independent people, organizations, and I don't mean 5 different news organizations all owned by the same parent company. I mean 5 separate individual institutions that have gained the trust of the general public come out and say this is correct, and no one comes out in opposition. Or you have 3 that come out and say this is the way it is, and 2 come out with critical information and say no, this is incorrect. Either way, the free flow of good information and bad information is the quickest path to finding the truth. And as soon as you start to suppress either pipeline and restrict it, you wind up running into the same problems that every other country that doesn't have free speech like America has run into for many, many decades. It's the reason we've had a competitive edge. Information does not flow faster anywhere else than America, because even in China, they slow down and stop information. So that slows. If there's monitoring going on, you're just slowing everything down, because I gotta check everything before it goes out the door. So you can't just throw shit out the door. America used to work on the principle of throw it, get it out there. And you know what? If it's wrong, then 10 other people are gonna throw shit at it and say this is fucking wrong, and it will sort itself out. This is how the free media market is supposed to work, just like the free financial market, just like the free government, and it's all turning to shit, and it's all starting to become manipulated and captured by money. Billions and billions of dollars can buy a lot of influence and a lot of time for other people to invest in your vision. So if you have billions of dollars, you can literally hire an army of people to go out and work to affect your end. You can have an army that doesn't have guns, they have pens, and they're going to make changes. So it's not poor people that are doing this. Stop blaming your poor neighbors for all your woes, and oh, it's the other white people that are ruining this country. The religious white right-wing extremists are ruining this country. How? They're not organized and they're not well funded. But you know who is? Endless corporate pockets that you can see the donor lists, see who's funding these campaigns. It's not right-wing extremists. It is the corporations that you see on the shelves of Walmart and your grocery store and every other store that you go to anywhere you buy products in this country, because they own the entire economy. Just like I just got done talking about what they do to colonize other countries. This country is fully controlled, whether it's at the financial level through these big, big corporations that have agendas and communicate with each other, or in the government. You're fully controlled, just like religion and government. Now it's corporations and government.
Is people coming to hate experts and coming to hate institutions because they're realizing that these institutions lie to them at a level that they've never considered unless they were Alex Jones fans to begin with. And so what you're having a large number of people waking up to the idea that, yeah, there really are organizations and working groups that determine what you hear from a multiplicity of venues. It's the same message relentlessly.
Do you think people are overly pattern matching that now?
Say more by what you mean.
That they're seeing conspiracy where there isn't, because the lack of faith in institutions.
Same person is saying that they see a conspiracy and they see no conspiracy. They have part of their head that remembers that conspiracy theorists are crazy people. And
conspiracy, if you're called a conspiracy theorist, it means you're getting close. They don't call anyone a conspiracy theorist unless they are getting close to the truth. They don't waste that word on people that are claiming theories that don't matter. This is a weapon. It is a word that is a weapon, and for the longest time it was very effective because it made you look like an idiot, it made you look like a lunatic. But as they start to use it more and more frequently, especially when they use it about things that prove to be true, then it starts to show a pattern of, oh, interesting, this person or this topic was accused of being a conspiracy. The Hunter Biden laptop, 50 intelligence agents signed a letter saying that this had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. I don't know if they actually called it fake, but they said it had the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. And I believe that they knew better. I believe that this was put out in an attempt to keep that information from coming out right before the election, just like Hillary almost got indicted by Comey right before her election, and everybody blames her loss on that Comey threw the election. They had to suppress this information because you know what? When you're dealing with evil right-wing people, the end justifies the means. It doesn't matter if you have to lie or do illegal things or harm people or compromise the entire system and have the media lie to the American people. As long as it keeps Donald Trump out of office, it is all justified, and we are the party of good. We have our fake God that we don't believe in behind us. We're the spaghetti monster who has no principles or values or book is behind us 100%. We sacrifice babies in the operating room to the temple of stem cell research, and so we know that we have the full weight of goodness in this world behind us when we lie and deceive and do evil things in the darkness. We're actually doing it for good. We're actually warriors for God. We're standing on virtuous principles because we know we're right by depriving you of the truth, by depriving you of the liberty to make your own decision. We are actually good people. That's what they really believe. So I don't think that people are evil. They're just being led down an evil path and told that they're doing good. People want to be good. People want to do good. They genuinely think that they are doing good, even though it's kind of destroying the country. And the only way to reach them and try to capture them from these evil leaders that have captured their mind is through love and acceptance and tolerance. Just the way that the transgender community takes lost, lonely people and love bombs them into believing that this is the path. Oh my God, I've never had any friends, and suddenly I said I might be transgender, and I have 50 people that think I'm amazing and brave. And so, wow, I found my tribe. This is so great. I mean, that's how you get people to be on your side, is you give them love and affection and tell them that they're important and tell them that you see them and you can hear them and they're valid and they deserve love. They deserve to have friends and to have people take them seriously and believe them when they say, I feel lied to, or I feel upset, or I feel sad, or I feel happy. I did something great today. Everyone deserves to have someone listen to them.
They've got part of their brain that remembers that normies who don't believe in conspiracies are crazy people. And they can't integrate those things, right? They cannot figure out, how are these things being coordinated? Am I a crazy person for seeing these patterns? Am I a crazy person for ignoring
For
them,
believing them?
for when they're unearthed? What you're seeing is a complete destruction of bedrock reality that if you weren't actually physically there. How do we know that these people actually met in a warehouse? Is this really a table, or is it just, CGI? Was it green and we could superimpose wood onto it? Nobody knows what's true. And, if you ask me, well, Eric, how are you dealing with this? I would say I'm failing. I'm just flat out failing, as are all of you. I'm just more honest about it. Some of you have an idea that you've got one lens, which is fix the money, fix the world. Bitcoin, that's the answer. Yeah, Bitcoin, rock on. But no, that's not the answer. Or somebody else says, I really think that we just need to be open and tolerant and realize it's a big world and you just have to give people their due. Well, that doesn't work either. You can't just let everything run riot, or we have to go back to our institutions. With these people at the helm, are you kidding? We have to abandon our institution. Wait, what are you saying? We're going to abandon our institutions? Do you know what that looks like? Nobody has an answer.
We'll get back to talking to Eric in 1 minute, but first I need to tell you about Gymshark. Gymshark make the best training kit on the planet.
Okay, well, I guess I would say that's, we'll skip to the next one. All these will be linked, so if you want to listen to him talk more about the media and truth, you can do so. I will put the link in the description.
In this country.
So this is Tucker Carlson and Vivek. We're just going to hit a short little section in this one as well.
In the lead up to January 6th. You tell people in this country they cannot speak. That is when they scream.
So he's obviously addressing January 6th and talking about the suppression of information regarding what was actually going on. Could have possibly led to, further theories that were incorrect being promulgated because real information from the source was not being made available.
You tell people they cannot scream. That is when they tear things down. And so the reality is, we were told that you could not question where the virus came from when we all knew it came from a lab in Wuhan, which now they admit. We were told that you could not send a private message to someone on the eve of an election that Hunter Biden's laptop story was actually a true story worth considering before an election. You were systematically suppressed. So think about this. You told you had to be locked down, had to take a vaccine that was mandated and forced down your throat, stay locked down in your home while Antifa and BLM roam and burn the streets of this country. So that's
one of the only things that gives me pause about this guy, I think he's got a lot of great things to say. I think that he's highlighting issues that Americans are waking up and realizing are real, not conspiracies, not figments of their imagination. This is not like one person. Alex Jones is seeing something completely different than everybody else. Well, presidential candidate right here is saying a lot of similar things to what I've heard Mr. Jones say. God forbid. If you don't get any pushback when you're saying these things, it makes me wonder who's allowing you to speak this way and why would they allow you to speak this way, and are you going to follow through, or is this all just talk? So this is one of my only things that makes me a little suspicious, is just how freely even RFK, the House tried to censor him with regard to free speech. And he's saying things that I probably couldn't repeat on YouTube without getting taken down. So that gives you a barometer for who's allowed to say certain things and make claims that are contrary to WHO guidance. He is. I'm not going to say any of this stuff because I've already had a video taken down just trying to pull up scientific articles and just say, hey, this is what the new information, this study is showing this. Well, if the WHO and NIH haven't endorsed said scientific findings, you can get taken down. You can get your content removed. You can get a strike against your channel. And you only get, I think, 4 of those a year, 3 in a warning. So I've already got a warning because of discussing this type of content. So I know that you're not allowed to talk about this and you will get taken down. But the machine, the establishment, the people in power, for some reason, even on these private social media platforms, are allowing him to speak. And now that may just be because he is a presidential candidate and they don't feel right about taking down his videos, but I'm not completely sure. So it just gives me a little bit of pause as far as what's really going on with him. I love what he says. I'm just a little suspicious, like, why he's being allowed to say so much with no consequences from the establishment. No sex charges, no women coming out from his past saying that he did something inappropriate. And then RFK had a guy in the crowd show up with a pistol and claimed to be part of his security detail, and this guy was definitely not. So there was possibly an attempt made on his life, or what could have developed into an attempt on his life that was stopped. That person was caught and arrested. But no one's going after him. And like I said, the truth will paint the biggest target on your back if you are telling the truth, the real truth, the truth that's not supposed to get out. It's the easiest way to wind up committing suicide against your will, even though you're not suicidal.
It's the lead up of 1 full year of telling people you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. And then you tell them, okay, there's an election where you didn't get the information that you needed, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story being real and suppressed. That's what caused January 6th, is a cycle of censorship in this country. And until we look ourselves in the mirror and admit truth on that, we will not move forward as a country. And I think that's the real cause. And we're not, and I'm sorry to say this, Tucker, but I think until we reckon with that reality, I worry that that is the beginning of, it's a friendly parley compared to what's to come, unless we step up and speak truth, restore integrity, and actually lead us to who we are as a people, rather than sweeping the truth under the rug.
How can you, just as a philosophical question, a lot of the people who are pushing censorship, in fact, I would say almost all of them, in both parties, particularly the Democratic Party, claim they're doing so in order to protect democracy.
Yeah.
But how can you have a democracy with censorship?
So you want to know the best measure of the health of a democracy? We're a constitutional republic, but I'll use lowercase d democracy as a fill-in, right? Couldn't resist.
People always applaud at that. I love that.
It's just the truth, though, right?
No, it is
We're a
true.
republic.
But the civics majors love it.
Yeah, that's great. But the best measure of the health of our American democracy, our constitutional republic, is the percentage of people who feel free to say what they actually think in public. That's the metric. It's not the number of ballots cast every November. That's just going through the motions. It is not some other metric of what the media says on a given day. It is the percentage of people who will say in public what they're willing to say behind closed doors. There's no doubt we're doing poorly. The culture is censorious enough. Now, if you say the government on top of that is using social media companies to do through the back door what government could not censor through the front door under the Constitution, that creates the real threat to lowercase d democracy. My litmus test is, if Vladimir Putin was doing it and we would call it a threat to democracy, it's a threat to democracy when we do it on this side of the Atlantic as well. Okay, that's a good way of not pointing the finger at somebody else, but looking ourselves in the mirror and asking ourselves who we really are. And this is personal for me. I'm a Republican candidate for U.S. president. It feels still new to say that. Not a politician by nature, but I bring that fact up, now as of very recently, certainly polling reasonably well in the recent polls. And I bring that up because against that backdrop, Microsoft-owned LinkedIn censored my social media account. They locked my account, said I can't get in to make statements that are factually grounded statements about climate change, about Biden's relationship with China, about the ESG movement's perpetuation of a climate cult in this country, all grounded in fact, saying that it violates their policies for hate speech, misinformation. And I'm not making this one up, they said violence in the email. And so in my case, look, I was able to publicize that. They were then claimed it was an error, restored the account, typical operating procedure. But it's that culture of censorship in our country that I think we also, I'm trying to do my part, where I was in Ottumwa, Eastern Iowa, earlier this week. Smaller event than this, but we're on the stage talking. Somebody walks in. She's screaming at the top of her lungs. At first, I thought, usually if they're screaming, sometimes they're in favor of what you're saying. So I said, thank you. But I realized that actually, no, she...
When she bit you? You realized?
She came... So she was out of control, okay?
Yeah. I know her. I ran into her at Dulles Airport last week. Yeah.
We've all seen a version of her, but the truth is, so security was escorting her out, and it felt wrong to me, right? Because she came here to make a point. She was totally wild in the way she was making it, but I'm watching her walk out the door. She's at the back of the room now, and I said, this doesn't feel right. Right, because as I said earlier, you tell people they can't speak, that's when they scream. You tell people they can't scream, and she was screaming. That's when they're going to go tear something down. So I said, no, bring her back. We gave her the mic. I said, I promise. You ask your question, but I promise I get to answer it in return. She agrees to that. It turns out she's a pro-choice advocate, a my body, my choice person. I was going to the state legislature on Tuesday morning. I think she must have known that. Came to this event to protest my being there. But I give her the mic. She's just talking for, 3, 4, 5 minutes. But by the end of it, it actually turns out, the story comes out that she's a single mother who did bring her daughter into the world. And the things she was saying were things like, my daughter is successful. I don't want you to look down on me. And I thought it was beautiful that the more she started talking, the more she started making our very point of why we believe in protecting life. And so I said, disagreements aside, you are a mother. We celebrate that. The audience applauded. It's why I love Iowans.
Wow.
She broke down in tears and left. And so I'm moved by what is possible in our country. Our country is broken. We are spiritually broken. We have a spiritual void in this country. It is our job to step up and fill that void by practicing what we preach as conservatives. And so I'm hoping we're doing that. I love doing that in Iowa. It's been something that's really lifted me up in a way that was never an experience I had as a CEO or in business. I've never had these experiences as we've had in the last few months. And honestly, as broken as our country is, it leaves me optimistic about where we're headed.
And you can listen to people. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not going to hurt
you.
you.
So it's so interesting. So you, and I think the intro of you described some of it, but you're coming from a completely different world. It's not like you were mayor, state legislator. You're coming from business. And
all right, we're going to get into his background in business. It's not really, I'll link this. I'll leave a link to all these that we've watched in the description if you guys want to follow up. If you found any of this interesting, like I said, please leave a comment and let me know if there's anything that you want a full discussion on, or topic, whatever interests you. And then we're going to do a short section also. Shawn Ryan had Vivek on and asked him some pretty good questions. I don't remember what exactly this section talks about, but I've got it queued up. So let's see.
I ended up actually getting into the world of biotech investing instead.
Oh, this is ironic. We're picking up pretty much exactly where we left off in the last one. We'll see where it goes.
There was a hedge fund that recruited on Harvard's campus, and these guys were smart. A lot of them were physicists. I tried a summer internship in the world of hedge funds at a different hedge fund. I actually was applying more of my scientific acumen, even the molecular biology and everything else, in evaluating potential investments than I was, pipetting things in the lab. And so I was more passionate about that, and I actually had a knack that I discovered, an interest certainly, in investing and finding undervalued opportunities. If the crowd's running in that direction, maybe I got to go in that direction and find opportunity. And to be honest, at the age of 22, I was also hungry to make money, actually. My parents weren't rich. There's some guy named Jack Welch that had all this dominion and power over my dad and his company. Well, my parents wanted me to pursue some steady career track as a doctor, that we had financial security, that we didn't have to face layoffs. My question was, what about who's that other guy, right? I think that that's interesting to me. I went to school with kids at Harvard whose parents came from corridors that were totally unknown and unfamiliar to me, that I say, okay, well, if they're able to do it, maybe I should focus on that instead. To tell you the truth, if I was to go back and do it again, I would advise the younger version of myself and also begin to think about maybe civic service a little earlier in my life. But just to be totally honest about it, I was ready to win in the system of free market capitalism and use and put to use my knowledge based while doing it. And being a scientist, I mean, that's a 20-year career track to make, at best one drug or one medicine. Yeah, that's too long of a time horizon. I'm going to be in my middle ages by then. I'm ready to get started now. It was intellectually stimulating. And yeah, I was ready to make some money. And so I joined a hedge fund in New York and did so as a biotech investor. And it turned out I was actually, by some good fortune in my way, but I think I had some skill set for it too, tended to be pretty good at it. So I did start making a good amount of money at a young age. But for me, more than the money was the learning curve. I was learning a lot. And then when my learning curve, I felt like it started to flatten a little bit, even though I was making good money, I said, okay, I am interested in some of these other questions relating to law and justice and political philosophy that I hadn't really fully.
All right, this was not what I intended. Let's just listen to a couple minutes at the beginning. Who's running Washington? And then we'll probably wrap it up.
This country. And the elected officials are really just people who enjoy being on cable television at night. They say, okay, give them that. The people in the deep state, they don't thrive on attention and ego. So we'll give the Nancy Pelosi's and the Joe Bidens and the Republican equivalents the ego hit, the dopamine hit from being able to be a famous person who stands in front of a camera, when in fact, the real laws of this country are not passed in Congress, that is designed to look like a beautiful building. I took my 3-year-old son there, 3-4 weeks ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, when I was there for a Sunday show. It feels like you're going to a museum because that is not where the laws of this country are passed. They're passed in the drab administrative buildings that you would never dare go. It's designed to look and be boring for a reason. And I think once you see that, you understand why it is we are where we are. Because the question is, why on earth would we put these people in charge who couldn't pass a basic cognitive test if they were asked to perform a function or an activity of daily living? And the reason is that actually is just a symptom of the deeper problem, which is that the people we elect to run the government aren't even the ones who are actually running it. And that was by design. And that's what I'm going in to fix. But we have to be able to see that with clear eyes. It's not just I'm a young guy versus these older guys. It's that I'm an outsider running against a system that is designed to keep the democratically accountable people, let alone an outsider, out of their business. And that's what's going on.
Yeah, let's this is directly the issue that Trump ran into. I mean, you've got career politicians that start at the lower rungs and get compromised and show that they're a team player and they're allowed to rise up and continue on to the next rung of the ladder. Yep, you're allowed to grab the next rung. All the way up to president. So you have people that are waiting right there. Spent their whole lives building to this moment. Trump walks right in, cuts everybody, pushes everybody a spot back, and then breaks the closed system concept. So now people can clearly see that you can go straight from the business arena into the highest elected office in the land. And politicians, they don't want just businessmen coming in and cutting off. They worked up to the second highest or whatever, 10th highest position. They want that top spot. And it's very insulting and pisses them off to no end. The idea that someone can just walk in and slide into the position that they've been groomed for and have been approved for and promised. This is your position. Someone like a Hillary Clinton who believed that that's what she was building towards and she was going to have this crescendo to complete her political career and have this cherry on top of being the president, the first female president. And through complacency, not representing people, pandering to different audiences, and doing so in a world where things are recorded so you can watch her say to coal people, screw oil, we're bringing coal back, and then to oil people, screw coal, coal's dirty as shit, we're going to have all oil. And just reading the room and saying whatever needs to be said in the room to win support. People, it's disgusting. That's a disgusting human being. And it's not someone that you want representing you, because they don't stand for anything. They only want to make money, and they only want power, and they will do and say whatever they think they need to, whether that's doing what rich people want to get their money, or telling you lies to your face and saying that you're going to be represented and heard. I love farmers. I love X, Y, and Z. You don't care about anything. You are morally bankrupt and devoid of any internal principles that would make you understandable as far as where you stand on these issues, instead of just being a chameleon that's trying to blend in everywhere and make everybody happy to get as many votes as possible without representing anyone or anything.
I see that, and I've been calling this out for a long time. A lot of people have been calling this out for a long time, especially when it comes to the deep state and the puppets and all this stuff. But, maybe you have a little more insight. I can't figure out who the deep state is. Who is it?
So this is the whole point. It is not one person. The model of there being one puppet master individually saying that I'm pulling the strings, it's the wrong mental model. Right. In fact, in many cases, it's comprised. This is the harder part to see, because then it gets really confusing when you first think of it this way. There are many good people as individuals in their individual capacities, as lives, as fathers, as neighbors, as coaches, who are part of that machine. It's the nature of the beast itself is not comprised of one human being with an intention. It is the machine, the Leviathan itself, that goes beyond a human individual. So, it is a creation that's a beast. Think about the FBI, right?
So I'm not gonna say what the WF does and does not do, but I'm simply going to say that organizations like the World Economic Forum and their awards that they give to global leaders, including him, and he sued them for this. Vivek sued the WF for naming him a young global economic leader. And he didn't want to be associated with them. He doesn't support them. But that is an organization where powerful, wealthy people who know a lot about the way that the economics of the world operate will meet and discuss ideas and potentially come up with roadmaps for what they think the next 5, 10, and 50 years are going to look like, and how we can make plans accordingly to set ourselves up for success. And ourselves, I mean them, and the system to succeed. So a lot of these organizations, they're not secret. They're legitimate organizations, and sidebar conversations are generally had as a part of the larger meeting agendas. So during the day at a World Economic Forum summit, they're having official televised testimony and speeches. And that's where we got the, you will own nothing and be happy speech that everyone's seen the video for, I'm sure. But after the day's done, they go out for cocktails and dinner and have side conversations in subsets of these groups where maybe they have an agenda. Maybe they have kind of like a secret society in the society that's not officially a secret society or anything like that. It's not structured like that. It's just a few people, like-minded people, that want to try to talk about and figure some things out. And these are where some of these alliances, decisions, and groups are formed, is just through legitimate sources, just through contact, just like you making a friend in the local bar in your town.
So I've said I would shut down the FBI, and I can go into the details of how to do it. One of my motivations for being in this race certainly is I am the single presidential candidate in the last 30 years who has the deepest understanding of how to actually shut down the deep state, the administrative state, and we can talk about that. But the FBI is one of the institutions that I've said that I would just shut down. Most people who work at the FBI, I genuinely believe it, are individually good people. But they're part of a machine that is bigger than the sum of its parts, that has a culture unto itself. It is still the J. Edgar Hoover building of the FBI that people walk into every day and report to for work. It is an agency built in the shadow of a legacy that was fundamentally corrupt even at its inception, or at least through most of the 1930s and 40s when it got off the ground. And so that...
And there's movies about this. There's movies about the corruption that is necessary to catch some of these organized criminals. When they were getting away with it, they'd figured out how to get away with it. There was nothing they could do. The FBI came about because police agencies were not capable of combating the great corrupt machine that was the mob. Whether that's Chicago mob, New York City mob, whatever mob. And the only way to combat that was to come up with their own police mob that's only goal, could operate in all states, and its only goal was to go after and prosecute these people that were getting away with things. And when people are getting away with things, sometimes you got to go into the gray areas to pursue them because they are purposely going outside your jurisdiction or the parameters that you are allowed to work under. So there were definitely some questionable things that were done in the name of ending organized crime, and that legacy of not being accountable to the rules continues in the CIA and the FBI and other disinformation agencies within the federal government, because most of the function of the CIA is to provide disinformation to other countries in order to confuse and take the war into a cyber or information space. The FBI likewise has a similar function in the United States if necessary, and that is to confuse and put out information or to obstruct certain other processes from occurring, because the FBI has a trump card and can step in and take over investigations and make sure it's being investigated according to, the FBI playbook and the rules that we want to play by and all this stuff. So I think Vivek is absolutely on the right track here. I also think he's on the right track to get assassinated. If he's serious about doing this, he's talking about dismantling some of the most dangerous and pervasive organizations the world has ever known. The CIA and FBI have very few peers, if any. And the only peers they have are in the other superpower type nations. So these are organizations that if he plans to go to war with them and try to shut them down, they are not going to go quietly. They believe themselves to have their own influence and ecosystem of power separate from the government, but for the most part subservient to the government, unless they need to, go do their own thing because the government, just like the organized crime thing. Sometimes you got to operate in gray areas, The FBI is not above that type of behavior.
Is really what we have to see is this isn't a human that we're up against, any individual human. It's individual human beings, democratically elected representatives of the actual democratic will of the people, up against a machine, a monster that we've created that actually has to be shut down in order for us to actually have any chance of winning. And I can go into great detail on that.
So it's not an individual. Is it an entity of individuals that are all conspiring together, or is it totally decompartmentalized?
It's totally decompartmentalized. I think that's actually what makes it so hard to capture. Sort of like there's an analogy, and we'll come back to the deep state piece of this, but it's deeply related to, say, censorship in this country. The way censorship is increasingly being carried out is initially the first version, the version that our founding fathers would have cared about, would have been the government carrying out censorship directly, saying that you, Shawn, can't speak to criticize me as a member of the government. What they started to do is they started to be a waterfall. It wasn't the president directly saying it, but it was administrative agencies. So it's the bureaucrats saying that you're creating misinformation that endangers the public. So I, as the president, am not going to be an autocratic king, but it's just going to be the technocrats saying that, hey, here's some things you can't say. Then it goes one step further down the waterfall, because that's still the government, to say, okay, well, we the technocrats can't do it, but we'll have a meeting with you if you're a social media company. And we'll tell you that, hey, you know, the guy who used to work for me now worked in the private sector. That's the place I'm going to work later on as well. So we already have a friendly peer-like relationship. Not that we think we're doing something corrupt, but it's just the same kind of people who we understand each other. We have the common good in mind. And come on, you know the truth, that people need to take vaccines, that people can't be trusted with a Hunter Biden laptop story. It's probably Russian disinformation on the eve of an election. Come on, you know what I'm talking about here. People need to take the vaccines. We've got to build public trust. I need you to make sure that you're looking after which users are criticizing our government policy. So say I'm Andy Slavitt in the White House, and say you're a counterpart at Twitter, and we're having a conversation saying, and I'm not making this stuff up, this is just literally what happened. Why is, what was this guy's name? It's an individual critic of the government, Alex Berenson, right? They literally name him by name. Hey, Alex Berenson, that guy, he's criticizing government policies on vaccination. That's eroding public trust. He's part of the disinformation dozen. Why haven't you shut it down yet? And you come back and say, well, you know, we think we have a free speech platform. No, you don't get it. Come on, you understand this. We're in this for the country. Why haven't you shut down his account yet? So then that horizontal managerial class goes and shuts down its account of that person because they know that the government side of it is still their regulator. So now we've gone from the president to then delegate it to say, okay, the president's not doing censorship, it's just the administrative state. Now it's not just the administrative state, but it's the private sector. It's becoming...
And the Biden White House has released guidance for how media should cover his impeachment, and they should be skeptical and critical of the GOP's sham prosecution of Biden, because obviously there's no substance to all the dirt that's on Hunter Biden's laptop. And Joe claimed Hunter was squeaky clean up until he got indicted for gun charges, which is small potatoes, to avoid feeding you the real meal, which is crimes that could be tied in with his father and influence peddling for money. You are seeing cracks appear in the narrative, and they are trying to plug these cracks by telling the media how to cover this, and by dog whistling, hey, you guys better, the big media better come out with some real good information and debunk all these Republican claims, or you guys are all going to be in big trouble, and you aren't going to be sitting on Grampy Biden's lap anymore getting bounced on his knee at Christmas dinner. So they're not coming out and openly threatening, but they're releasing this letter that says, hey, you should be skeptical of this and cover this with a certain bias, because this is a dog and pony show. Jack, just a witch hunt, I mean, same things that the other side was saying. Now they're saying it because their own playbook, they're realizing, is being turned upon themselves, and all the lessons that were learned during their whole 4 years trying to impeach Trump may be actually used to expose corruption on the other side, because it's on both sides. The whole government's corrupt. All of them, pretty much. I mean, it's a nasty swamp, and the only people that can drain it is the American people, with our power to vote people in and out of office. And we need to do so with conviction, voting all of them out and getting new people in, and then we can vote the new people out too. But leaving these people in power and asking them to change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. A corrupt motherfucker is just going to be a corrupt motherfucking piece of forever. They don't deserve any second chances. Just get rid of them. And don't give them their coat.
More and more decentralized. And then what does Twitter do? Or what does Google do? They don't even have human beings doing it. They train AI to do it, right? And so they kick it out to AI algorithms, which are themselves automatically, without human judgments, squashing certain kinds of information that they've been trained to view as dangerous, false, or misinformation. A dirty little secret is that many of those algorithms have been so trained that the AI itself now spots American flags that are on someone's profile. So if you're somebody who has an American flag in your social media profile, The algorithms are already trained to pay greater scrutiny to what you say.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking about this. And it's not a human being that made that judgment. It's the AI that itself has been trained to say that these are the kinds of people who need to actually be silenced and suppressed. It's a dirty little secret in Silicon Valley. And actually, it's many of the same third-party firms. So it's just the cascade. You go from the president to the administrative state to executives at Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Executives to then third parties, but the same third-party firms that are working for the big tech guys, and the third-party firms themselves writing algorithms and AI to be able to decentralize it. So why do I bring that example up as it relates back to our example of talking about the FBI? It's a machine that we're up against. If we think it's individual person-to-person combat, we found the bad guys, we walked into the globalist cabal, and here we got them with smoking cigars in the back room, deciding this is exactly how the rest of society lives at large. That's the wrong mental model. That's how it worked in the old world. That's true. Because what we have today going on in the United States of America is a modern 1775 moment. Right? That's where I think we are in the country. And in the old world, the way it worked is there were a group of people who got together in the back of palace halls and determined what was right for the rest of society at large. Because the old world vision, and it's absolutely a vision that's rearing its head again in this country today, is that we the people cannot be trusted to sort out our differences through free speech and open debate in a constitutional republic on how we fight climate change or racial injustice. Shawn, Vivek, we the people as individuals cannot be trusted. It has to be decided in the back of palace halls by the enlightened elite. And we fought a revolution to say hell no to that vision. That yes, we the people in this constitutional republic decide how we self-govern. Thank you very much.
And again, we could keep listening to this forever, but the only way for these backroom people, because I think that what's happening is you've got just like corporate continuity. In the old days, you had very rich individuals who had children and passed their wealth on to the children, and usually those estates fell apart very quickly because within 2 or 3 generations, you just had people that were incompetent with money and not ambitious and raised rich and indulgent. But the structure of the modern corporate board, where you have an Apple that has merit-based people appointed to these positions, I believe that you've also got more well-hidden positions like being on the board of Apple, except not publicly appointed or advertised, but you have positions where you may be privy to some of these meetings, and it's not who you are or your name. It's a position that you are asked to fill, and that position continues on in continuity behind the scenes regardless of the name of the person that's in it. That position number 1, position number 10, seat number 12 at the table, etc., will be occupied by someone who at some level was a merit-based appointment. So they went out and found someone with expertise in economics or medicine or whatever the organization is about, and you put these people in place to be experts and help guide the vision. And it may not start as a system of control or be anything nefarious, but it could develop into that depending on the consensus of the group as to whether the people are fit to self-govern and self-understand, or whether we need to burn the whole system down, because the only way we get out of this situation where people have too much freedom and too many guns is to purposely blow the entire system up to prove that it is a failed experiment, artificially sabotage it because it would continue to work and people could be trusted with real information. But what they want to prove is that you are not fit to be told the truth. You are not fit to self-govern. You are not fit to be free. You need to be shown the path by those wiser and better. Your betters need to guide you. So, if you wanted to create a system like that, you must first destroy the existing one, and I believe that you are seeing symptoms of that destructive plan within society as we speak, and this is why we seem to be headed for a precipice of either civil war or self-destruction monetarily where we just lose control of our financial systems, and the dollar no longer is the world reserve currency, which is the underpinning of modern global economics. And if that falls apart, there could be war. There will certainly be turmoil inside this country and the broader world. And once you have that turmoil and fear and danger and uncertainty, now you can capture people through fear. Now you can say, well, we can see how this works out, or you can give up your freedoms right now and we can fix this immediately. It's your choice. We're presenting you again with the illusion of choice, just like the red shit sandwich or the blue shit sandwich. Neither one you want to eat, but it is choice, right? So we're giving you choice again. You can either take your chances and keep your freedom, or you can give us your freedom and we'll make sure that you're safe, because we engineered the crisis anyway and created all the destruction and mayhem. So it's very easy for us to fix. We understand how to fix this stuff because we created it. We're funding these bad actors. We are funding and allowing the shoplifting and the rioting and the burning and the things that are going on in schools where children are being divided against parents over things like gender and et cetera, et cetera. We can fix these things because we purposely put them in place. So we can fix them. We're very confident of that. And I believe that that is where we are headed, sadly. And I believe that this is why, again, I'm going to end one more time and just say this is, again, why I believe we need to remove these people from power. Because if there are these organizations behind the curtain that are controlling these people, then we will definitely throw a huge monkey wrench into the system by removing all their puppets. And if those people are not puppets and they are, in fact, the bad actors themselves, then we still win because we still get rid of the bad actors themselves. So whether by voting everybody else, whether by voting all incumbents out in first worlds across the planet, not just the US, Germany, England, there's a lot of problems in all kinds of first world economies. France is having a lot of civil strife. If we vote these people out, we create the same sort of chaos and turmoil that they are creating in the streets by pitting us against each other, regular Americans against regular Americans over gender, sexual orientation, race, but never class or wealth, because they want to sell you this bullshit that America is a classless society. We're all the same class. That is not true. You have a ruling class that is part of the rich, and then you have the rich, and they're all the same class. And then you have a second class, which is the rest of us. So 99% of us are, yes, not divided by class, but only divided by race, sex, and gender. And then you have 1% over here that actually controls everything, and they are only divided on their side by wealth and status. They're divided from the rest of us by wealth and status because we don't have it and they do. But within their organization, do you think that a black billionaire and a white billionaire are being racist toward each other? Or do you think that they're doing business because they're adults and because they are the people that make the world go round and they know better and they have the best information that money can buy? If you think that those people are fighting over nonsense like, oh, that billionaire's gay, I don't like him. No. Nothing like that is happening in those circles, and if you believe that it is, then you have truly bitten the hook so deeply that it will never be extracted, I don't think. So, anyway, all the links to these videos that we watched today will be in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know if there's anything you want me to focus on a little bit more or dig into more. I just can't get through all these because there's a huge list of stuff in front of me that I want to get to, so I can't spend, a whole week just getting through these. So let me know if there's anything I should highlight. You guys take care. I love you. If you made it this far, you are true champions, and I appreciate your attention, and I hope that this information has been valuable for you and you've enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.